Today we're going to talk about tempo. Here's an example of how tempo could be written in your programming. The first number, 2 in this case, is the eccentric motion. It's the lowering phase or the lengthening of the muscle. The second number, in this case it's a 1, it's the bottom position. It represents that time in the bottom, of course, but after the eccentric. X, the third character, could be a number, it could be a letter. It's the concentric phase. It's going to represent the shortening of the muscle, the upward motion of the exercise. And then the last number is going to represent the top phase, happens after the concentric. Just so you guys know, the tempo note's always going to stay the same. How it appears will be the exact same every time. That being said, different exercises are going to start at different places. As an example, squat's going to start in the eccentric, deadlift's going to start in the concentric, and we'll look deeper into an example here in a second. Let's take, for example, the ring pull-up at 4-1-A-2. Okay, so 4 meaning the eccentric, it's 4 seconds down. 1 is the pause in the bottom after the eccentric, bottom position, 1 second. A is actually going to note assistance, or in this case, I'm going to note to the client that I want them to jump. 2 is going to be the top of the movement after the concentric. Let's also think about the ring pull-up here, or the pull-up in general. It's one of the more confusing exercises when it comes to tempo, because a lot of people will look at the tempo and they'll think, I'm going to start with 4 seconds. I'm going to start by pulling up over 4. Although the tempo stays the same as mentioned, where you start in a given exercise changes. So in this case, it's the concentric action or the jump. Then the client will hold for 2, they'll lower for 4, hold for 1, they're going to reset and then jump. And then lastly, just to give you guys some examples of what you might see under the concentric action, X is going to mean explode. You might not move like Usain Bolt, but the intention is to move like Usain Bolt every single time you drive up out of that bottom position. A is going to be assisted. Your coach will note it, but it could be a jump. It could be a band. Just something that's going to give you assistance. Should be noted. And then number is just the amount of seconds. So could be that it's maybe not 0. That might be aggressive, but we're going up over 1 second all the way up to, I could do 10 seconds. Is probably not going to happen. Maybe 1 to 5 is what you'll more likely see. Okay, so let's look at another 2 examples really quickly. First one is going to be a squat, starts with the eccentric, 2 seconds down, you pause in the bottom for 1, you're going to explode out of that bottom position, you're going to pause for 1 at the top, and then you're going to go right back down into your 2-second eccentric phase. Let's say that you were doing a deadlift. A deadlift starts from the floor, it starts with the concentric action. So you start by exploding up in this case, pausing at the top for 1, recovering or returning down over 2 seconds, and then again pausing at the floor for 1. Tempo can sometimes seem confusing at first because some movements start at different places. That being said, the reason why we are such big advocates of tempo is because it really does bring about control to the movement, which allows us to, number 1, actually measurably see performance increases, and number 2, just creates a lot more safety in the movements. So guys, if you have tempo in your programming, it's not just there just because there's thought that went into it, so make sure that you follow it to a T. If you don't understand, just ask questions.